source was an eyewitness, an Iraqi chemical engineer who supervised one of these facilities. He actually was present during biological agent production runs.
Who knew Curveball was lying and who didn't? To help me answer that important question, we're going to talk to a man who was there. Retired Army Colonel Larry Wilkerson. He served as the Chief of Staff to the Secretary of State, Colin Powell. Colonel Wilkerson, I want to start with this. Look, everybody wants to know. Did Colin Powell know or did he not know when he made that presentation that there was questionable evidence in there?
I lived cheek and jowl with George Tenet, the Director of Central Intelligence, and his intelligence deputy, John McLaughlin, for 5 days and 5 nights. I never heard a single word of doubt expressed about what we were told were 4 separate sources independently corroborating one another that proved the existence of mobile biological labs, one of which was an Iraqi chemical engineer who had actually worked in the labs and had seen an accident occur that killed some 12 people, confirming that the ingredients in the labs were lethal. That's all we were told.
Colin Powell made the presentation at the United Nations. He probably had as much experience dealing with intelligence products as anyone in the government, including the director of CIA. He spent days on it. He worked hard on it. He believed every word he said, right. and yet he presented it that way. Now,
the Vice President's office manipulated you and Secretary Powell into giving a speech?
Absolutely.
And knowing that Colin Powell had the credibility, knowing that Colin Powell was the most resistant to the war inside the administration, if he makes the case for them, they gain that credibility, and then they set Powell up to take the fall. You think that's what happened?
Before I went to Langley, I got my team together, and one of the things we talked about was Adlai Stevenson's speech at the UN during the Cuban Missile Crisis. One of my team said, well, why is Powell doing this? Adlai Stevenson was the U.S. ambassador to the UN. Why isn't he doing that? And I looked at him and I said, you asked me that question? The only member of this administration with any credibility is Colin Powell. He's got poll ratings like Mother Teresa. They're using him.
Colin Powell made the presentation at the United Nations. He probably had as much experience dealing with intelligence products as anyone in the government, including the director of CIA. He spent days on it. He worked hard on it. He believed every word he said, right. and yet he presented it that way. Now,